Hey everyone, thanks for joining me again. This is part 7 in a series of videos that make up a tutorial called Build a Website with Gatsby. And in the last video what we did was we created a post page or article page template that allowed us to dynamically inject data from our markdown files into it and render individual post or article pages. And in this video what we're going to do is we're going to create a page template that allows us to look at a list of posts based on the category that we assign to the post. For example, and if you take a look at my markdown files, I've updated them to include tags in the front matter. So these tags represent the categories associated with this post. Also, you'll see that I've updated the home page, and I said that I would do that either in the last video or the one before it. And I wanted to make it look a little bit more like a news site that you're, or maybe a news or a blog site that you're used to seeing. So for example, I got the inspiration for this from Huffington Post because they have this simple latest post element right here, this component right here, and then they have a post list next to it. It's very simple, it's very elegant, and even their header you can see is similar to ours. Alright, and if you're wanting to start from where this is right now, you can just go into my repository and go to the branch called pre-video 7. Alright, so for now, and maybe I'll show you a few of the updates I made. Just don't really want to bore you too much with the CSS and the reconfiguration. I haven't done anything in terms of using something that we haven't already learned before with Gatsby, so it's just been a matter of rearranging HTML and adding CSS. But just take a look now at the code for the header. So I've added more links. As you can see, there are now 4 total links in the header and 3 category links. Right. And to the categories I've added the paths, or to the links I've added the paths to the category page, but we haven't actually built those pages yet. But as soon as we do build the page, we'll have the links set up. So for now, if you go to Gatsby's documentation, and they have a page called Adding Tags and Categories to Blog Posts, you can get a nice bit of help in getting these tag pages up. One thing I'd like to mention is that right now we're in the middle of August, or at the time of recording, and Gatsby has just switched over from Gatsby.org or GatsbyJS.org to GatsbyJS.com. So some of the links that you've had to the Gatsby site may not be working anymore, so keep that in mind. So first of all, we need to update our Gatsby node file, right? And we've already created a Gatsby node file previously. So what we need to add to it this time around is something to our basic query, and then something that allows us to create tag pages. So first of all, you'll need Lodash, and you may have used that in a project before. So if you don't have it already installed, go ahead and install that now. And once you install it, you'll need to require it. So in your Gatsby node file, go ahead and add that. Right, also, we're going to need to update our query. I'll take this bit here, put it right under fields, and then grab this bit right here that gets this tags group object and put that in right before the closing curly brace. And then we're going to use this in this bit of code here. Make sure you don't grab that bottom curly brace. So this is for our tags. and add that right under our create page logic. Alright, so we're getting the values from our tags group object we have here. And also, we have to create a path to our template page, right? So if you go to the documentation, you can see that they have it right here. Sorry about that. So we can add that right under our post template. Now, just to keep our naming convention and not deviate from it, since we're using just the singular post here, let's use the singular tag here. Right, and then we're passing the tag along with the context. That way, in our GraphQL queries, we can use it as a GraphQL variable. And the reason we'll need it as a variable is because depending on the link that we click, and the different tags will have different links, we'll be able to go to different tag pages, right, which will be rendered dynamically in a single template based on the relevant data. So for now, that should be all that we need to do in our Gatsby Node.js file. So if you try to run your project now, what do you think is going to happen? Alright, and you get an error, and then it doesn't actually, it just quits the running the server. If you go up here, you can see that your site's Gatsby Node.js created a page with a component that doesn't exist. So, for example, when we needed our individual post page template, we created this post page component. So now we need to create a tag page component. So let's do that in our templates folder. Remember, it's tag.js. Alright, and since we're going to create that, let's also create a corresponding style sheet. Alright, and then what we're going to add to our tag file at first we can get from the Gatsby documentation. So if you scroll up, they have this tags.js file, so we can use a lot of this. So for now, just grab everything. Yeah, just grab everything. And then we'll just get rid of what we don't need. Starting from the top. So we added this to the wrong file, didn't we? Added it to our SCSS file. Want it in our JS file. So you can use prop types if you like. We're not going to use it in this project. And if we go down, you can get rid of this bit here. Alright, since we're not using prop types, get rid of all of this. I'm calling it tag. So that means we need to call it tag up here. Alright, and since this is our tags page query, we'll call it tag query. You don't have to give it a name, I just like to do that. Okay, so for now, let's just try to start our dev server and see what happens. And so it looks like it's going to start up. And we're able to render our home page. So at this point, if we click on one of these links, which I've already set up, right, it'll take us to our corresponding tags page, or our tag page, right? For example, here, entertainment should take us to the entertainment tag page. Politics takes us to politics, and sports takes us to sports. All right, so now let's go through the code a little bit, take a look at what it's doing. First of all, you look up here, and as usually when we set up a GraphQL query, then we just bring in the data and nothing else. So to figure out what this page context is, let's go ahead and first of all comment all of this out, and then just comment all of this out. And rather than look at this, just bring in all the props, or bring in the whole props object. No destructuring assignment. All right, and if we go over and open up a console, and we go to one of our categories pages, right, we can see that we've got this large props object, which does include data as it always does, but it also has this page context object, and that brings in our tag that's relevant to this page, right? And the reason it does that is because, remember in Gatsby node, we passed the tag along with the context, and that means that in our query, right, we can use tag as a GraphQL variable so that we're only going to look at stuff that's related to the tag that we clicked the link for, right? And the filter is handled here so that we don't look at all of it. We just look at the matter that pertains to the individual tag that we're interested in, which should be a list of posts or articles under the category associated with that tag. All right, but also we don't have enough in the way of fields in our query. So if we go to our index.js file in our pages folder, let's just grab all of this. And put it here. And bear with me here. Okay. So now we can go back up and restore what we had before. So using destructuring assignment, we'll need page context and data. And so if we look at our page, we're back to where we were. Of course, we don't want to use an unordered list. We haven't been using them so far, so we can get rid of that. Let's change this to let's just get rid of it. so we've gotten rid of our list. We don't have our layout, so let's use that as well. Okay, now that we have our layout in, the spacing is taken care of here. And as before, when we created our post list on the home page, we'd probably want it to be around 50% the width of the page. So we can go into our tag.css folder or file. And actually, we don't have a selector yet, so let's make one. And it would help if we actually brought that style sheet in. Right, and if we look at our page, that centers the list. Alright, so Alright, let's make this look a lot like what our original post list looked like. But first, before we do that, I'd like to take a look at some of this code here, right in the render phase. So again, we get our tag from the page context, alright, and then we get our posts here. Now, they've given us this nice little bit of code, right, that gives us a page title or a page header, right, and that's this bit here, right, one post tagged with entertainment, right, and if we change the tag page, right, it'll change the tag text. All right, so Gatsby gave us a little bit of a helper there. And so for now, underneath the title, all right, and we don't want the title to be, we had been using H1 heading, so let's use one here. All right, so we'll bring in the date underneath that. Just a small tag as before. Right, underneath the date, we'll put in a horizontal line as we did before. And then we'll have under that post image. All right, so we'll need Gatsby image. Takes the fluid property. Would be node dot front matter dot image dot child image sharp dot fluid. All right, so you can see Oh, before we do that, underneath the image we'll want the excerpt from the post. And we're using an excerpt because we're going to have a list of different posts. So that we can use a p tag for that. Alright, so what we've got right now, and we only have one post in the list because we only have one post with the entertainment category tag. And also for this, what are we using? Yeah, they're using an H1 heading, so it's just the font that's no good, so we can update that. But first of all, you see that our image is way too big. We'd like a thumbnail, so we'll have to deal with that. So let's go into our tag.scss file and start styling this up a little bit. So as much as possible, let's use the font family Railway. Okay. I fixed that. So we'd like the date to be right under the title. I think I was getting confused by this looking like it's nested when it's not. Alright, so tag title, and then in the hierarchy we're okay with tag post here. Right, normally I would wrap my image in a div, but since it's going to grow and shrink with the size or the width of the post size, we'll just leave it as it is. Alright, so going back, first thing we want to do is, since this is a link, we'll want to get rid of the text underline. So let's do that. So that would be tag post title. Alright, so it's not working. Alright, because it's a link, let's do this. Alright, and that gets rid of it. And the reason I can do it just as a general attribute to all anchor tags is because I never want to underline my text. At least not on this page. And hit the backspace button where I shouldn't have. Alright, also, as usual, I want to get my date up underneath the post title. And so that takes care of that. Now we want the image to be a thumbnail. So I said something earlier and I actually spoke falsely. I said that I wanted this image to be as wide as the post, but I don't. I want it to be a thumbnail, so I should wrap it in a div. So let's do that now. You don't have to do that. That's just something I like to do. Alright, so I think before we made our image width about 150 pixels, so we can do that again here. Alright, so when we go back, we see that it's the right size. Of course, we don't want the text down here. We'd like it to wrap, just as before. So you can use float left. Alright, that takes care of that. We'd like there to be a little bit of space between the text and the right and the right hand side of the image. Make it about 20 pixels. Alright, so that's okay. Try margin top 0, no, let's not do that. So you can see that the text is a little bit lower than the top of the image, so maybe what we can do is we can use this selector here. Alright, so that brings it up a little bit. Alright, so what happens if we get another post? And by the way, having this where it is now is probably not optimal. We'd like it to be, well, I think the way we've got everything set up with the layout is we're using a justify content space between. So this will get pushed up eventually as we add posts, but let's at least center it. Alright, that takes care of that. Let's add a few more test posts just to make sure that the spacing between the individual excerpts is okay. So Alright, so I guess that's enough. If we look here, we can see that the spacing between them is alright. If we would like to add a little more spacing, we could. So this is tag post, so so that separates them a little bit more. Alright, if we go back to our home page, click on politics, we've got one post. Sports, we've got one post. Entertainment, we've got two posts. Alright, so that's working. Alright, there's one other thing we'd like to do is, it's nice to have these category links up here, but also maybe if someone likes the post that they're reading and they want to see other posts in the same category, we should give them the tags in that post that they're looking at now. So for example, my latest post, right, there are no tags that link to the tags page list or tag page list where we can see all of the other posts with the same category. So let's add a couple of tags in our post page template. So basically what we'll want to do is put them right here under the date. Alright, so if we go into templates post, so in our post.js file, right, we can put them right here under the date. So we'll wrap them in a div. Alright, let's make sure that we're bringing them in, and we're not, so we have to add them here. And we'll say post.frontmatter.tags.map and we'll use a small tag here. Okay, so if you look, we've got the tags here, it's just not styled very well. So in our post.scss file, the date, you can use the tag selector or the class name of tags selector. Alright, so that's not working. Did we put it in the wrong spot? So we've got post, main, title, date, tags. We're getting the tags, so why are they not being spaced apart? You can see that what I've done right here is not changing it yet, so let's go ahead and use Flexbox. Oftentimes that gets us out of a jam. And in fact, we said justify content, but we never just set the display as flex. You probably caught that. I should have some lunch at some point soon. My brain's not working too well. Alright, so now if we take a look, we can see that we've got our tags spaced apart. Don't think we want them quite that far apart. Alright, so we can set the width to, I don't know, maybe 50%. I want to give it enough width that, you know, just in case we have 4 or 5 tags, they'll all fit in without getting squashed together. Probably the safe thing to do if you think that you might add a lot of tags is just set the width to, or leave the width at 100%, but I think I'm only ever going to use 2 or 3 tags for mine, so I'll leave it as is. Alright, so if we shrink the page, it looks alright. Okay. So now all we need to do is put links to these tags, and then we'll be done. Looking at the wrong page here. All right, wrong file. So here we'll want to return these tags wrapped in a link. So we'll have to bring in link from Gatsby. Alright, so if you recall, and we just looked at it briefly, the links go to tags, right, a folder of tags, and then the relevant tag name. Alright, so if we go in line with that, we would say 2 equals, now it will be, use a template literal here, tags, and then the actual tag, right? So let's take a look at our page now. So if I click on sports, and you can see that these are now hot links, that should take me to the sports tag page, and it does. And if I click on hockey, it does as well. Alright, so those are working. And then of course you can just style them up, remove the underlines if you want, or you can leave them there. Sometimes it's nice to leave them there just to let people know that they're clickable. So anyway, that's it for setting up tags. Again, Gatsby provides you most of what you need. You just need to understand how to use it within your own site. And in maybe the next video, I'm thinking probably the next video, we'll actually implement pagination. Now on our home page, we're only ever really loading this article, and then we're gonna like load maybe 5 or 6 posts. I'd like it to be that we don't have just a long list of posts over here. Maybe we'll just load in 5 and that'll be it. But on our tags pages, like for example, as we accumulate, as we write more posts and build up a folder full of posts, we may have hundreds if not thousands of posts to load, and we won't want them all loading before we get a chance to start clicking on any of the individual ones. So what we can do is we can use pagination. We could load 3 at a time, and then if we want to see the next 3, we could click on a next page link or whatever. So that's what we'll do either next time or in the very near future. But for now, thanks as always for joining me, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.